Have you ever stopped to think about why we all recognize the basic Cinderella story, even if the dress, the lost object, and other details change? Or wonder why some words carry way more weight than others, shaping how we think about everything from politics to what makes a good person? Maybe that's just overthinking things, right? Well, not according to a whole branch of philosophy dedicated to dissecting not just what things mean, but how meaning itself gets constructed. Get ready for a wild ride through the clash of the intellectual titans, structuralism versus post-structuralism. Imagine society as a hidden construction site. Structuralists, led by guys like Ferdinand de Saussure, were obsessed with blueprints. They believed deep down, our world runs on patterns, and if we're clever enough, we can uncover them. These aren't just grammar rules, but how we organize concepts: good versus evil, man versus woman. And, according to structuralists, those underlying codes tell us more than the surface details. They studied myths, family roles, classic novels, not for the emotional ride, but to strip them down to bare essentials. Their big claim: our minds are hardwired to find these patterns satisfying, giving a sense of order to the chaos, even if those patterns don't line up perfectly with reality. But wait, hold that thought. Enter the post-structuralists, ready to toss a wrench into that well-oiled machine. Thinkers like Derrida and Foucault scoffed at the hunt for one universal truth hiding under the hood. Derrida was all about breaking apart those neat pairs structuralists loved. The strong can't exist without the weak. The normal needs the abnormal to define itself. He highlighted how those meanings aren't rock solid, but change depending on who's doing the talking and their position within the system. Foucault turned the microscope onto power itself. Forget finding truth etched into an ancient tablet. He saw knowledge as a battleground. Think how experts define madness or acceptable sexuality. That ain't neutral. Whoever controls those definitions can decide who's locked up, who's punished, and who's considered to simply be themselves without trouble. Yikes. This philosophical feud went beyond bookish hair-splitting. Post-structuralist ideas fueled major social movements. Feminists exposed how language itself often defaults to a male viewpoint. Queer theory challenged ideas of fixed sexual identities. Thinkers from formerly colonized nations pointed out how Western history was written by the winners, with whole ways of knowing ignored or belittled. Now, let's not get too smug. Just when you think you've spotted the bad guy behind those systems, post-structuralist thinkers remind you, well, it's a trap. Who decides the system is bad in the first place? Does poking holes in one set of truths just lead to endless confusion? Can we fight for justice if we don't have some fixed ideas to start with? Big questions, no easy solutions. This debate still rages on in how we approach art, social media spats, and the struggle to have conversations across those deep social divides. Maybe structuralism's search for grand patterns and post-structuralism's love of taking them apart aren't rivals, but two halves of how we grapple with the chaotic, thrilling, and sometimes terrifying power of words, ideas, and the constant process of making sense of it all. If this battle for the soul of how we think has your brain buzzing, you're definitely not alone. For a deep dive into these fascinating topics, grab a copy of our book, No Gods, No Masters, Beyond the Limits of Structuralism, link in the description.